Good morning, peoples. I've been gone for a while, but I'm popping in. It's been a while. I've been watching everybody just rehash everything. The same shit for over 8 years. Nothing has changed. I don't care if new information comes out, they always revert it back to the original story, to their narrative, to their story. Not anything that's been buried. Everything else is, a conspiracy theory, but that's a bunch of bullshit. We all know that. And that's where it rests. That's where it lies. That's where it's always been. You have got to consider they are not going to budge. They are just going to dig in like they always have. They've always just dug in farther and farther. And none of their story makes any sense. Their timelines, their peoples, their witnesses, it just, none of it makes sense. Not any of it. I mean, you can blatantly see that it's all by design. I mean, they're cherry picking. They've been cherry picking. They pick out certain things and they use it for their own self to keep their narrative. I mean, they've been doing it all along. That's why they always say social media is wrong. Social media will attack you. Social media is bad. In the beginning, Doug Carter didn't feel that way. He basically told the people to keep calling in the tips, keep calling in the tips. Well, you have to consider, this story is all by design. And I know at one point they garnered over 70,000 tips in a community of only 3,000 people. Do the math. Over 70,000 tips in a community of 3,000 people. They took all those tips and made their own case based on what they had. And this is the story they've stuck to. So they've excluded some witnesses, they've excluded some people, they've killed some people, they've demoted some people, just to fit their narrative and just to, make it stick. They're going to dig in. They have dug in. Like in the beginning, the first one out was Judge Curtis Fouts. He was the original judge on this case. Him and Robert Ives as a prosecuting attorney. So Judge was accused of soliciting a prostitute, and there were whispers of sex trafficking. Judge Fouts only had 5 months left of his term, but instead of finishing out his 5 months, he resigned because of the charges that could have been coming against him. And see, when judges face charges, all they have to do is resign and they won't get charged. I think that's a bunch of bullshit too, but that's the way it is. So Judge Fouts, he resigns and he goes back into his law practice. And then Julie Melvin talks to Judge Fouts and retains Judge Fouts for Anthony Greeno. And Judge Fouts, now lawyer, becomes Anthony Greeno's attorney thanks to Julie Melvin. Julie Melvin must know Judge Fouts to have that kind of pull. Greeno does not have a good reputation even before Delphi. He was wanted for all that faulty bounty hunting across the U.S. But Greeno has family in the federal marshals. So keep that in mind. That's why Greeno's untouchable, because he has family that are in the federal marshals. Okay, come back to Judge Fouts and prosecuting attorney Robert Ives. Now, Robert Ives said a whole lot in the very beginning in his interviews. We all know his interviews have been scrubbed. But the ones that were back in the beginning, we remember what Robert Ives said. We remember that the journalist asked Robert Ives about the dolls. And we know that Robert Ives said it looked like somebody went to that department of like a Goodwill store and bought up the entire department. That's where he said it was a bizarre scene. There was a ton of physical evidence. There was non-secular items. He went on and on and on. He said you could stand up on that hill at the house, which is a Weber's house, and look right down at the cabin. Crime scene. That's what he said. He called it a cabin. And then he corrected himself and called it a crime scene, that you could look right at the crime scene from the top of that hill at the Weber's house. You could look right at it. So a lot of things Robert Ives said that were scrubbed. Then Robert Ives resigned, and he told the public that, and the investigators, that if there was arrest in the case of Abby and Libby, that he would return as prosecuting attorney. Now, Robert Ives did return in April of 2019 for that April 22nd presser. Robert Ives returned. That is when they arrested Garrett Kurtz and Ashley Garth for the murder of Nicole Bowen. See, and by then, they were already doing polygraphs. They must have already had an idea of Garrett Kurtz and the whole Kokomo crew, just due to the fact that Robert Ives returned, thought he was going to get a prosecution, thought he was going to get something handed to him. But over months, time went by. Again, no one ever got charged in the murders of Abby and Libby. So at that point, Robert Ives just completely resigned. But he did say he would come back as a special prosecuting attorney if asked. Obviously, the man was never asked. So, you've got judges, you've got prosecuting attorneys, you've got children of federal marshals. You got all this going. And then Tobe Leazenby is accused of being a suspect. Rumor had it that Tobe Leazenby didn't have his handcuffs. He lost his handcuffs. And that he wasn't at the city council for the minutes. And the February 2017 city council minutes were missing for a very long time. They have still never been produced. Not to Johnny Public anyway. They say they found them, but they've never showed us. And it said that Tobe Leazenby was supposed to be at that city council meeting, but was not. So Tobe Leazenby became a suspect. I believe he owned some property out there with an outbuilding out there in them woods. And the one witness, the lady, was basically his girlfriend's mom. One of the witnesses. So, anyways, Tobe Leazenby became a suspect. I think that is also by design as well. I think they pointed the finger at Tobe to take over the case, to keep Tobe Leazenby's mouth shut. I believe they put that man on a wall, scared the living shit out of him, and made Tobe Leazenby comply and go along with their narrative. That is my belief. Doesn't have to be your belief, but that is my belief. Because Tobe Leazenby really wasn't running the show. It was Doug Carter and ISP that was running the show. Even though Leazenby was always in the backdrop, Doug Carter ran the show. Doug Carter ran the show on the Flora 4. He's head of the investigation for the polygraph experts. For Nate Miller, the deputy that died, all this. He's in charge of all this, and none of this stuff has been solved. None of it. A lot of children's deaths in Indiana that has not been solved. A lot of corruption in Indiana that has not been solved. And that's fact. That's not just Abby and Libby. That's everywhere pretty much in Indiana by the way it's sounding. So for Doug Carter, as a professional and a fellow countryman and an American, Says if you don't like our judicial process and you're in Indiana, go find yourself another country to live in. That is the most fucking absurd thing I've ever heard. That man should not have the position he has. Obviously, he is not elected, not by the people. Doug Carter, you are not elected by the people. You are appointed by the governor. The governor liked you, so he made you head of ISP. So you and the governor are buddies. We all know that. It's like that in every state. The governor gets to pick who they want to head up their state police. So whatever Doug Carter knows, the governor of Indiana knew. So they had to wrap all this whole fucking case up before a new governor came into town. Well, they got Richard Allen before a new governor came into town. See, now it's all sweep, sweep, gone, gone. Bye-bye. Now, Carter's going to resign. Richard Allen's in jail. Or in trial at the time. They knew they was going to hang his ass. They got a new governor. New governor doesn't have to worry about none of it. Because it was all under Governor Holcomb. So, again, you know, Governor Holcomb is Carter's boss. Holcomb picked Carter. And he okayed Carter's every step through this Delphi case in 8 years. Didn't encourage Doug Carter to investigate harder. Didn't come out and speak on behalf of anything. Doug Carter had free reign to manipulate, to do whatever. Is Freemasonry involved? It's a damn good possibility, but I don't believe that's all that's involved. I believe the Freemasons will damn well protect themselves. I think that's what Judge Gull is all about, is Freemasonry. I think Judge Gull protected her fellow Freemasons. Period. You have a lot of promotions and demotions in Delphi. You have a lot of people that moved their professional positions and were granted immunity after they were promoted. See, that's the whole thing. They can be promoted, but they were all promoted to positions where it granted them full immunity. So they didn't have to say shit, spit out nothing, say a word about anything. And that's how it went. To keep their mouths shut. If not, they were probably going to go down. It's all about blackmail and extortion. So, if that's easy for you to put together, then you've got that part figured out. And then, you know, you got to get right down to the nitty-gritty of it all. You got to remember, the people who admitted that they were there, or somehow were proven that they were there. Greeno voluntarily told the police that he was there with Megan Allen, and that Tina Riddell actually vouched for him, saying that Anthony Greeno was with Megan the whole time, and she was there between the 13th and the 15th. We know her story about stabbing someone and the earrings in her pocket and whatnot. That's who Greeno was with. That is his official alibi to the police. Tina Riddell is his vouches for him. So that's Greeno. That is his official alibi. You can ask him, you can corner him on it. I'm sure he'll beat around the bush like he normally does, but that is his official alibi. Now, that puts him there for between the 13th and the 15th. Even when Megan Allen said that she stabbed someone, and there were a set of earrings in her pocket, and she was beaten and raped, Greeno was there. And Greeno was the one that said it was a gang initiation. That's originally who it came from. He coined that. Matter of fact, Greeno is the one that coined the phrase BG, Bridge Guy, doing his live videos, trying to recreate it. The police never called him the Bridge Guy. It was the guy on the bridge. never called him BG. Greeno was the one that, like I said, coined that phrase. Greeno was the one that found a telephone out there, cell phone. Greeno was the one that recreated and assumingly walked across the river. That was never proven that they went across the river. That was all Greeno's live videos in the beginning. Trying to reenact and get, and just do shit. And everybody just ate it up. And it was stupid. Everybody ate it up. The cops did not refute, debunk, or okay anything. The police and everybody surrounding it kept their mouths shut like they do now. And just let people just go crazy. Say whatever they want. And the cops never did anything to debunk wherever it was heading, just let people think whatever they wanted. As long as their story fell into place in the long run, So, but then you have to consider, so they got that all set up in position. Then you have to consider Ron Logan, okay? A lot of people say that they used Ron Logan because they wanted his property. Everything's about property, property, property. Land, 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 land grabbing. Well, you got to consider that Ron Logan and, like, the McCains, they were all the same age. All the same age. I'm sure they've known each other for a very long time if Ron Logan lived in that house for 50 years. And then the McCain's parents being buried right in the cemetery next to Ron Logan's. They're the same age. They lived in the same town. I'm positive Ron Logan and the McCains knew each other. Probably knew each other very well because the McCains were out on them trails every day. And Ron Logan was always checking his property all the time, right? Right. So I'm sure the McCains and Ron Logan knew each other. Now, what in the event if could possibly be, because he said Ron Logan's phone pinged up by the bridge at, 207 or 209? The audio interview with Hannah Shakespeare had Julie Melvin in it and some Dan guy. And it was said in that interview that there were evidence markers from the crime scene all the way up to Ron Logan's house. What if, Ron Logan knew the McCains. Let's say Ron Logan was part of it. Maybe they didn't want Ron Logan's land. Maybe Ron Logan was part of it and there was no land grabbing involved. They just used Ron Logan's property to get it done because Ron Logan was in on it too. All right, let's just say that. Because Ron Logan couldn't pull out of it if he was involved, right? Right. He had a fake alibi. Yes, he did. He lied. Yes, he lied. Why would he lie? Before the girls even were found, he lied. So that has got to raise a big red flag with anybody. The old man lied about his alibi before the girls were even found. Now, that's fucked up. That makes Ron Logan look so damn guilty right there. Let alone all the rumors. Oh, the rumors. Oh, rumors be damned. There's lots of ugly rumors back then. It was said that there was, the girls were taken and into Ron Logan's house. They said that police actually found items and some evidence in Ron Logan's house in his basement. All kinds of things. Ron Logan knew some pretty bad people. If you knew Garrett Kurtz and Ashley and Brad Holder were all over at his house, Ron Logan was not a very good guy if he hung around that kind of a crew. So, you got to consider everything you've been told about Delphi is probably likely a lie, all of it. The girls were probably not out on a bridge. That video probably came from somewhere else. It's hard to believe. After 8 years into this, it's hard to believe their story. I mean, because so many other things, so many other things fit way better than their story. If you were to unscrub the things that were scrubbed, we would have a whole different case here, people. A whole different case. If let's say the helicopter footage wasn't so blurred out, we'd have a whole different case. And you got to remember, Channel 13 helicopter was up in the air as well. They caught a lot of stuff. And they won't even release their helicopter footage. Only RTV6. And it's all blurred out. That's the only one that released their helicopter footage. But like I said, it's all blurred out. The media's in on it. Look at Barbara McDonald. She's a tool. She's a tool. Because you can sit there and ask a damn good question to refute everything they say, and she still spins it to their narrative. No matter how or what you throw in front of it, you can throw proof out there. And these people will spin it around and say, oh, well, that's this, that, and the other, and it means this, and this is how, and this is why. And they just make it sound really good, you know. But if you were there from the beginning, you know it's just a bunch of shit. There's more to the story. These girls died such a brutal, violent death, you know, but it only shows a couple stab wounds. You know, we know. You know, if I sat here and told you the things that were said in the first 2 weeks that happened to those girls, that happened to those girls' bodies, it would blow your mind. You would probably think I was crazy. But it was said multiple times. That's why this shit's been scrubbed. You can't find anything really Delphi from 2017 to 2019. It's all gone. You can find some news clips, but that you're not gonna find shit. All the stuff, Kurtz, Chadwell, all that shit's been scrubbed. All of it's been scrubbed. Ashley Garth, Derek German, Mike Patty, Becky Patty, all that stuff, all of it's been scrubbed. All of it's been scrubbed. The Slaughterhouse, what is it? Delphi, Indiana Packers. All of it, it's just all been scrubbed. The truck driver that dropped off a hog, it's all been scrubbed. And why did they demolish this old CPS building? Why would that be necessary to destroy that building? Because that building's part of the case. The whole crime scene unit and all their trucks and vehicles were there at the CPS building. Well, why? And then they destroy it. So it is affiliated with the case. The building itself is affiliated with the case. It's not that just somebody parked there. Oh, no. They demolished that building for a reason. So it would never be used again. I have my own theories, my own ideas. And what they're telling you and what they've been telling you for 8 years, it's a lie. The whole fucking thing is a lie. They were not out there just taking pictures. They weren't. They just weren't. They weren't out there when the whole search was going on. You had hundreds of people out there searching. Well, doesn't anyone find it funny that you call the police at 5:30 to report the girls missing? And it gets dark by what? 6:30? 7? But by that evening, by dark time, you had hundreds of people out in the woods. How in the hell, at the drop of a dime, just a matter of an hour, couple hours, hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, are you going to get hundreds of people to search that fast? No, I'm not falling for it. It just doesn't happen. Just like it doesn't happen that cops call off a search for 2 missing children in the middle of winter after only looking for 5 hours. That's it. That never happens. Look it up. The only time that happens is when all hope is lost or there is a hostage situation. I believe it was a hostage situation because in hostage situations, you secure the perimeter, which they supposedly secured that area. Firemen were there, volunteers. They secured it all night. Nate Miller and Pat Brown were at the gate of the cemetery. Mike Capitano was at the bridge down by, yeah. But they were all volunteers, firefighters, whatever, that supposedly watched that area overnight after the search was called off. But yeah, the police were too busy and would not respond to 2 o'clock in the morning screams. Cops just don't call off a search for children in the middle of the night, only after looking for 5 hours. The locals know the area. The locals would still search. The fucking terrain ain't that damn tough, and it's not that huge of an area. But the girls weren't there the night of the search. So, no, they weren't there. So you tell me, with the perimeter being secured, and you see they went to that spot in particular for the search. And then once the search resumed at about noon the next day, not at daybreak, but at noon the next day, they went back to the exact same spot. They knew them girls were there in that area before they called the cops. They say that that's where they were taken from and that Daddy was supposed to pick them up. Even that was a lie the first 48 hours. If you look at the TV news report, it just said a family member. And it said the same family member that dropped them off was also captured on photo, on film, camera, on the trails that same day. The same person that dropped the girls off were also caught on film. Also. But they wouldn't name it. It said a family member. Then they settled on Kelsey. First it was Dad. We didn't know if it was Derek or Mike Patty. Dad and Grandpa. And then it ended up settling on Kelsey. I believe it's because she was a minor. And we don't even want to get started on Kelsey with the Anthony Shot shit. Alright? Or Daddy being a federal informant. That right there opens a whole can of worms when it comes to the lie. And the ISP. The FBI were onto the shit. The FBI got booted off the case, but the FBI was right on it. From Ron Logan to Rushville, where Ferenczi got shot, FBI has been on it. I can't believe the FBI has backed off because they lost a federal agent involved in this case, so they could easily take over. These are crimes against children. They could still easily take over, especially when you had the FBI, Homeland Security, all these guys involved in the very beginning. Yeah, Homeland Security was even involved. So, it's a big government thing. That's what I'm going to say. It's a big government operation. Like I said, the governor knew what was happening. The judges, they all knew what was happening. You know, Homeland Security knew what was happening. FBI, everybody knew what was happening. And how is it that if their story is true, girls got taken at 2:15 at the trails, and multiple FBI agents were already in the area. Even Robert Ives said 20 to 25, if not more, FBI agents were there. Why would they already be in the area if they hadn't even been taken yet? See, it's a lie, you guys. Because they weren't taken from that fucking bridge. They weren't taken from that bridge. That is a dump site. I believe very firmly that that was a dump site. Now, if there was a cabin there, like Robert Ives said, you could look from that top of that hill, look down and see the cabin, or I should say the crime scene. That's believable, just like the shack. It's a crime scene, it's a cabin, and it's a shack. Something could have went down in there. Tara's ex-husband, Josh, I forget his last name, starts with an L. Josh sent out a text saying that at 12:30 a.m. they were still in the cabin. So it's very likely what Robert Ives said was very true. But it's just not one person that did this to Abby and Libby. It's not 2 people. It's not 3 people. It's not 4 people. It's not 5 people. It's a whole fucking bunch of people. Like Carter said, he's going to have to hire anywhere from 60 to 100 new officers just to solve the case. Well, he never did that, did he? No, he didn't. But there was a lot of motherfucking people involved. A lot of fucking names, yo. A lot of names. We ain't even touched on Keegan Kline and Anthony Shots yet. A lot of fucking names. And then there was, I gotta bring this up too. Randy Gravitz. That dude knows a whole lot. Details. He's very detail oriented. You guys can think he's special ed, but no, he's not. Nope, that dude is foul. He knows a lot. He's being protected as well. Yeah, he knows a whole lot. He ran with Greeno in the beginning pretty hard. Now he just doesn't even acknowledge Greeno. But there is a lot when it comes to Randy Gravitz. See, Dylan Harmon, which is Sean Harmon's son, stopped by at Randy's when Randy was doing a live, and Randy freaked right out. Randy was almost pissed off. He was freaked right out. He was put on the spot. He did not want that dude on his live. He wanted none of us to know. It's the only time I've ever seen Randy just right geeked up and amped up and freaking right out. He even still has a GoFundMe type deal. It's not called GoFundMe, it's another one for Dylan Harmon. Yeah, he panicked when that dude walked in the door, and when he knocked on the door, he panicked. So I kind of believe that crazy Sean Harmon had a little bit of credibility. Just because of these guys' behaviors. And see, Randy Gravitz was, I know, when I started writing notes, pen and paper, Randy Gravitz, by the 16th, February 16th, 2017, Randy Gravitz was already making videos. Already. He was already on it. I wrote that shit down. I wrote it all down. Everything he said I wrote down. Because he was saying some crazy shit. He was giving names. He was giving tattoos. He was saying that you took them and put them in a car, and whatever you did with them. That's the shit that was coming out of Randy Gravitz's mouth. Randy Gravitz knew, 100% knew. Still does. And that's why he's pulled right out of it. Randy Gravitz knows. Randy Gravitz was sitting at he was at Anna Williams' workplace when she got the news. He said it. These people are a trip. Here's Greeno. He's there. Keegan Kline said he was parked near there. Ron Logan it was proven that he was there. Rick Allen said he was there. But now Greeno said he was there, but they didn't go after Greeno. Other people said they were there, but they didn't go after them. My pictures, my research and my pictures show a completely different story than what the state of Indiana has put out. How they do this on the backs of 2 little baby girls, I will never understand it. And then to just get up in bold face, say if you don't like the judicial system in Indiana, go find another country to live in. It is one of the most damning, most guiltiest, obvious statements I've ever seen in my life by any professional. It was straight pathetic. That dude should not wear a badge at all. At all. He should not even be an American citizen if he feels that is how our judicial system should go. But they're protected. They're protected by a government crime syndicate. It's my opinion. It's all a fucking crime syndicate. Our government is one of the worst. So it could easily be, part of a government pedophile ring. Easy peasy weasy. And like people like Greeno and Randy Gravitz and Elvis Fields, all these guys are tools. All these guys are just tools. It's the ones that are in official positions that are getting promoted and granted immunity that are keeping the story protected and keeping it secret, along with all these little tools running around. See, the tools can't say anything. Like Greeno, all them guys, they can't spit out the truth, or they know damn well the government is coming after them, so they keep their mouth shut. And just like Garrett Kurtz said, people aren't going to say anything because look what happened to Abby and Libby. Well, what the fuck happened? Where it scares every fucking buddy for 8 years and running. Yeah, they didn't just get stabbed a couple times. Come on, let's talk the truth, you guys. 2 little girls. What the fuck do you think happened to them girls? I mean, go with your gut. I mean, come on, go with common sense. I know common sense ain't so common no more, but you ain't just gonna take 2 little girls and within 30 minutes just off them. It ain't gonna happen like that, sorry. Not when everybody was searching, search was called off, and these girls, it was in limbo for almost 24 hours. Cops gave the perpetrators plenty of time to complete whatever task they were to complete. The cops fucked up. The cops won't admit it. Because the cops are involved. In my opinion, they are straight up involved. The cops, official positions, government positions, all that kind of shit, yeah, they're involved. And the regular citizens, these little meth heads running around and shit, tripping, they just use those guys through the court system. They probably got in trouble, made a deal, you do this for me and I'll do this for you. Again, Anthony Greeno and Judge Fouts. Julie Melvin, you better watch that bitch. She is dirty as all get out. In my opinion. She's trifling. She's top dog boss hog. Don't shake that tree too hard. You might not like the results. But it's the same people from 8 years ago that are still on the job today, that are still putting out the same story from 8 years ago and to the same story today. It's the same people from 8 years ago that are cementing that fucking guilty verdict in that trial. It's the same people. The same YouTube creators. It's the same ones. Hoosier the Bruiser, Captain Howdy, Michael Catt, all YouTube creators. What happened to them? Don't you think there's other YouTube creators out there that they haven't gotten to yet? Of course there is. You still got Greeno, you still got Frank Meister, you still got Julie Melvin, you got Randy Gravitz. They're all part of the shit. It's all part of it. They've been there since day one, doing the same damage control for over 8 fucking years. The same people, same damage control, same story. 8 years, same people. You guys stay safe and stay blessed. always.